This is why the rich get richer. Don't listen to anybody else. I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm not going to use any monetary terms whatsoever because I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. I'm a terrible human being with money. I'm basically just a human sieve that walks around with legs, one of those Mr. Men books, and all these coins going, oh no, I wish I was a bowl, then this wouldn't be happening. So, look, what I think that we're going to move towards here is the idea of the philosophy behind why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And that is because if you are doing well in life, it moves you into situations where you are going to do better and better and better. It is a positive spiral. Once you're in that spiral, it just keeps getting over, like the good actions that you take in life start to build up on themselves. But conversely, if you take negative actions in life, they start to build up on themselves and your life gets shitter and shitter. And there is a perfect example of this in that when you start to take drugs, what happens? Well, actually, let's just go with alcohol, for instance, because everybody can relate to that, because there's probably a couple of people in the Shire that go, oh, you've smoked marijuana in your life? Disgusting. I, on the other hand, got blotto 3 days in a row and am not a bad person. I pretty much agree with that anyway, but I'm not actually, no drugs or anything like that. I'm quite a straight edge man. Can you tell by the fact that I'm rocking back and forth in front of a wide screen insane, basically? But what happens when you take alcohol? Well, first of all you feel like doing the next day is sleeping if you don't even have the hangover. That's it. So the rest of the day is wasted entirely. Did you know that it actually takes 3 months for your body to process alcohol? Meaning it's doing damage for 3 months. You need to have one drink, just one. But what about the glass a day with wine and stuff? It's a fairy dream, according to one article that I read. Look, I don't know, whatever, but let's just go with this. When you go blotto, the next day, you just feel like sleeping for the rest of the day. So you've wasted that day. And then when you get up, this is the worst thing about it as well. When you get up, you feel really good and you're just like, and obviously afterwards, do you feel like exercising or do you feel like working on the work that would advance you in life after you've had a hangover and you've just been sleeping for 16 hours straight? No, you go and play Spider-Man on PlayStation, which, by the way, it gets a little bit tired after a while. Okay, you can use the web to move colanders. Woo. But then what happens is the next day after that, and this is where it gets a little more insidious, is you think you're fine, but you're not actually fine, are you? You've ever heard of come down Tuesdays? Oh yes, that's right, because your brain is trying to reorganize itself after drinking all the alcohol, going, okay, let's just do a collateral damage here. There was 1 million of my friends that just died yesterday, so let's just do a quick body count of that. And people do that on a 7-day cycle. Those huge catastrophes like the 2004 tsunami is happening in your brain every single week, and your brain is trying to take stock of it. So obviously it's not concerned with keeping you happy. It's trying to punish you to go, stop killing me, please. That's what's happening in your brain. And then on top of that, the next day after that even, when you've started to drink, you are not, this is scientifically proven, you are not 100%. Right, well, if you take Centrum on the other hand, however, Kerry Ann Kendley, going from strength to strength. First it was the midday show, then it was the morning show, and now she's in Centrum ads. Anyway, I'd do it. Then what happens after that is, because you've started to make it a routine in your mind that I drink on the weekends, you start just drinking on the weekends, even if you don't feel like drinking on the weekends. Do you ever have that feeling when you just get to the Friday or Saturday and you go, well, I don't really feel like doing this, but it's Friday or Saturday and someone said this to me, come on. So I guess I'm gonna have to kill another 14 million brain cells. There's no alternative to that. You cannot have fun without yelling at a DJ, turn it up, it's Nicki Minaj, please. So then what happens? Now, you're on this cyclical cycle where you are never performing at 100%, ever. Then years go by like that, then decades for some people, and then their liver starts fucking up, and then they die. But in the meantime as well, because they're sapped of all the energy, and they haven't been building their energy deposits, all this time in their youth, that they could have been squirreling away the nuts for winter, which I bet you there's at least one 40-year-old going, 40 is the new 50. Oh no, wait, so 40 is the new 30. And I believe that too. And thank you so much for subscribing. You are 30, aren't you? What eventually happens is obviously they've drained the best years of their life by going out and drinking all the time. And so they have not developed any skills to somebody who is completely sober the entire time. This is again why you see a lot of people that are peak performers that are vegetarians, or they eat a bit of fish and vegetables. They basically have a Japanese diet. They just want to, their goal in life is to be one of those 122-year-old Japanese men whose eyes just look like like someone's taken the eyeballs out of an albino axolotl and they just sit there all day like this. That's their goal. And that's what happens if you eat just fish and vegetables. Oh no, I said another diet thing. Here we go. Here's the hack. Bring it on. Bring it on. Please don't. Now, be nice. That's going to work on the net. Be nice to me. Especially when 70% of your audience is male. I agree with the Gillette ads. There is a lot of toxic masculinity in the world and it needs to stop. And here's the part to do it on my personal videos. Just keep hating on other people though. I find it funny. I mean, if you want to laugh, if you want to see easily the funniest thing of 2018, and yes, I'm talking about 2018, not 19, go look up Salento's Wild and look at the comments underneath that. Fuck, that's funny. Now, okay, so when you're in a negative cycle, that is what happens. That bad habit builds on bad habit, and then it becomes impossible to get out of it because you're in a spiral. It's a tornado. No, my life. But it's true. If you start drinking, usually what happens is you start smoking, which is obviously extremely bad for your health. And on top of that, dehydrates you and makes you age more. And if you age more, you don't get that thing of, oh, what a MILF. You get that thing of, ooh, she's 27. And then what happens after that is then you start taking up other habits that are bad as well, i.e. that to veg out, you start watching crap TV that does nothing to nourish your mind, and as a result of that you become dumber. And you also become dumber because you're killing brain cells. That's one aspect of it, but the other aspect of it is that because you're watching a bunch of media that is not stimulating, it's just Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock again have some sexual chemistry that's obviously not there. And you keep watching that stuff, and so then you think that that's normal behavior, and you start hanging around people that think that's normal behavior. And then they're trying to keep you in that world of like, come out for drinks, watch Spider-Man 3 again. And so your mind does not get stimulated. And because your mind doesn't get stimulated, you actually find it impossible to learn new things. And if you're not learning new things in a hyper-competitive world that we live in now, you could fall back into the dust like the rest of them. You become that 80% of the population that kind of just sits there and consumes. That's what happens to you. And because you're not learning new things, you don't get to your dream job. And because you don't get to your dream job, you live a life that you hate. And the way that you get out of the way, the best, quickest escape out of a life that you hate is to drink or to take drugs. And so it just keeps feeding on itself. Conversely, if you stop doing the drugs, if you stop doing the booze, what happens is you realize that your brain has a lot more energy. Your body has a lot more energy. And with that energy, you start doing things like reading things that are more challenging. Now when I watch Kim Kardashian or Keeping Up with the Kardashians or whatever, I feel like killing myself. It's impossible for me to watch. Any of those dumb shows that people are like, I like it, yeah, it's dumb, but it's funny. It's not funny to me, it just makes me really scared. It makes me really scared that there's millions of people watching this millionaire whine about, I can't believe I wasn't invited to a party, this is the worst day of my life. There should be no excuse at all for you to be watching that stuff, especially when there's so many interesting things in the world. Genuinely interesting things that just take a little more effort of reading a book that is a little more challenging than watching that little crap hip-hop beat in the background that I've now used on Friendly Shorties a lot now, so I'm going to give away all the secrets, aren't I? This is what we're getting to, right? Success builds on itself, and failure builds on itself. And failure is not an overnight thing. It happens over decades. It happens over months. It happens over you not taking the right action. And when you do take the right action, usually that builds up to another right action. You know what happened today? I finished, God, this is why I'm so frazzled. I've spent it's the worst part of my year. Like, this is my Navy SEALs hell week. Except for the last 4 months. And it's way harsher. I'm sitting in an air-conditioned office all day learning lines. But, it's hell for me. I have to learn 12,000 words for my new stand-up show. And then what happens after that is obviously you go and then you do the first 5 or 6 shows, which if you're paying to one of those things, no refunds and sorry. But what happens is that you've got to condense that down to about 8,000 words, and the only way you do that is by trial and error of people going, thanks. And then you have to obviously get rid of the stuff out of that, your little ingrates, that you actually pay for my livelihood, so thank you very much for doing that. But I still, fuck you. Especially you, you're the worst people I know. It's so unfair, isn't it? Life's not fair. Get used to it. Imagine if I just got if I got 3 times as big and shaved my head, you just hear that all the time on this channel because it's a self-help channel. Get used to it. Life not fair. Yeah, look. But I took this step and I feel euphoric as a result. Yeah, I feel frazzled and dazed, but I've learned 12,000 words. That 3-month hell is over, finally. Now it's just a matter of refining it over and over and reading it a million times. But the worst part is just sitting there remembering each word. That part is over. But you know what's really interesting about it? I hate it. I cannot get my mind motivated to do it ever. You sit down and do it, and for 20 minutes, after about 20 minutes or so, your brain rewires and goes, oh, I suppose this is what I'm doing now. And then it's excited to do it for the next hour. And then after that, your brain goes, all right, I can't handle it anymore. And eventually what happens is, if you keep doing it, habitually your brain gets more excited and more engaged in doing it, and it can do it for longer periods of time. But you forget about it because every year it goes back and shrinks. But this is what I'm saying. Success builds on success. The more you learn those lines, the more your brain is capable of learning those lines. If you don't do it, it's impossible. This is why there's so many people that I know that do have that lifestyle of just sitting around, drinking, watching shit that go, how do I remember all those lines? And it is impossible to them. That is what the scary thing is. It is impossible for them. And honestly, I don't know how you get out of that stoop. Once you're in that, it's really hard to drag yourself out of a negative cycle. And conversely, it's really hard to get into that negative cycle once you're in a positive cycle. Again, when I watch the Kardashians, I'm just like, I have to move away. I have to leave the room. I feel my brain deteriorating, and so I have to put stimulating things into it. That's what I want for you. I want you to be in one of those positive cycles in life, because after that, only good can come from it. And what happens as well is not only good things happen to you, good things happen to everybody you care about, and eventually you start having a global or national impact because you have done the groundworks on yourself. Conversely, people that are drug addicts, people that are booze hounds, what happens to them? First of all, even drug addicts say that the worst drug addict of all is a booze hound. And it's true, they are absolute cunts. But just not letting druggos off the hook, right? Usually what happens to them, they are a negative impact on everyone around them. They usually start draining their parents' monetary resources if they have any, or they start begging on the streets, and then, the government has to deal with that shit, and they start bugging people and stealing things. It is a negative cycle because it makes you focus on yourself more. But when you focus on yourself in the beginning to get yourself into that positive cycle, you start accumulating enough resources to start directing those into positive ways to benefit everyone. This is what's so good about it. This is why I want you to start doing it as well, because imagine if all 25,000 of the people that watch this channel, even at small infancy stages of what it is now, if those 25,000 people started taking heed to that advice and started thinking about, is my life in a negative spiral or a positive spiral? Because just identifying it, that's a really crucial part of the battle. Am I in a positive spiral at the moment or a negative spiral? Am I going downwards or am I going upwards? You know if you are. If you are doing less than what you were the year before, you are obviously in a negative spiral. If you are doing more than what you were doing in the year before, positive. Simple. But imagine if everybody there started taking the advice that self-help gurus have been talking about for thousands of years. But now that we have the internet and people that know how to put on dumb voices, so it appeals to slightly more people. But the thing is, if you started all doing that, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people that do that as well. They're obviously probably people that are watching this anyways, people that are in that positive spiral. Because the really insidious thing about self-help is the people that don't need self-help are the ones that watch self-help, because they know that if they just keep reminding themselves of these things, that's what's most important. You do need to keep reminding yourself of these things. They're very simple principles, but you fall off the horse. But the people that don't watch self-help, that go, that's stupid, that's gay, they're always the fucking losers that have really shit jobs. They have nothing going for them in their lives. They're the ones that need self-help the most, but their brain cannot process it. It can only process the dumbest of shit. I don't want you going that way. I want you going into a positive spiral because essentially at the end of the day, it helps everyone, including me. Because I want you paying for my retirement. Even if I'm a millionaire by the end of my lifetime, I'm still taking money from the pension because it's my right. That's pretty much it. I just want you to pay for my pension. See you next week.